John Reyes, and thanks for joining in on the Authority Marketing Blueprint. Sit back, relax, and grab your virtual seat, because in this episode and every other episode, I'll be interviewing and collaborating with another high-level marketing and copywriting expert. If you haven't yet, go ahead and get some help along the way as we dish out and pinpoint some of the most profitable, powerful marketing and copywriting wisdom. Get some help with implementing everything you'll hear in this episode and other episodes by downloading my personal sales funnel swipe file stash at copyblueprints.com. Now, grab your virtual seat and listen in. So this is a guest I've been really excited to bring on. Jonathan Bender is a former NBA player turned entrepreneurship, joint pain coach. He's actually worked in the world of copy on his own too, which is kind of rare to find someone with all this kind of different experience. So thanks for joining us, Jonathan.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. I appreciate it, man. Good
Of
speaking.
course. Yeah, man, it's been long overdue to catch up, and there's just so much people can learn from you, even looking you up and seeing your journey from the NBA into entrepreneurship. So kind of, for people listening to get familiar with you, what was kind of, your journey like? What about, the transition, the experience because from what I know, before you even got to the NBA and all these, you had kind of that mentality of go out, get money, get what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, at a young age, I was always into just trying to figure out ways to make things happen on my own. Single parent family, obviously divorced early, and my father died when I was like 11 or 12. And I was always a little resourceful kid. You know, anything that I can do to kind of, get money on my own. I would pick up cans and take them to, gather these bags of aluminum cans and take them to the mill and weigh them and get a little money that way, or cut hair, or mow grass and things like of that nature. So I always had like a little resourcefulness about me. But we would always play out in the area that I'm from, playing ball, basketball, and I found out I had a skill, right? And that started to attract people, and I had this huge growth spurt, and it turned into something, right? And what I didn't know at the time, though, I began being scouted because of my talent, sort of like an offer, right? When I look back at it, and I was kind of taken on this AAU circuit as an NBA, as a high school player to play against some of the best in the country. Obviously, my ranks went up. I went up, moved up the ranking, and then the McDonald's All-American game, put me number one in the country. I broke Michael Jordan's record, became the all-time leading scorer in the high school McDonald's All-American game, and I still have that record today. And that kind of put me on the stage as a top 10 NBA pick, and ended up going to the NBA at the fifth pick at 18 years old. So, got into the NBA a couple years into it, started having some real bad injuries with my knee that stemmed from my growth spurt back in high school, right? I grew so fast over a short period of time. I grew from maybe like 6'2" to like 6'8" over a summer. Like this is like 4 months, right? So I ended up, starting a lot of the damage and breaking up a lot of the cartilage in my knee. So fast forward to the NBA years, my knees would always swell, and then one training camp, and they took a look at my knees and said, "Man, you got the knees of a 50-year-old, 50-year-old person." I'm like, "Man, what is this?" And it just kind of went down a bad little rabbit hole of just being injured a lot, right? In and out of rehab, horrible stabbing feeling that was unpredictable when I was running, things of that nature. And I rehab for like 3 years, back and forth, flying back and forth to Boston with one of the best docs in the nation out there. It became draining, man. It became draining mentally, physically, and decided to walk away in 2006. And when I left the game, all of this stuff started coming to me as far as looking at that's when I look back at my MBA time and I said, man, I'm a product, right? I'm a product. And the guy that sought me out to expose me to the world was taking a product and basically marketing it, right? And obviously, when he got me to the point of, being exposed to everyone and being in the system and exercising that product, it brought on money, right? And when I looked at that, I looked at the fact that my knees were broken. I'm like, okay, well, I can expire. My talent can expire. How can I create something that will last forever and never have an expiration date? And that kind of brought me to, okay, I'm creative. Let's see if I can create a solution for my knee problem. So I set out to create a device that would help me take pressure off my knee at the 90-degree angle, which is right at the point that you're sitting in a chair, and that's a defensive stance position. And I came up with this apparatus in my mind, went to the store and gathered some some stuff and put this thing together, and it looked like trash, but it worked like I thought it would, and just kept refining. Had a biomechanical analysis done at Purdue University, and it did indeed show that the device was taking stress off of the knee. Got with some guys that were in manufacturing, started getting some prototypes, having actually a lady in my neighborhood that knew how to sew, having her make prototypes for me, and just handing them out to people that had issues, handing them out to trainers and having them try them on different people. And it just kind of snowballed after a couple of years of just research and me building the confidence of this device actually works. Now, how do I take this device and do what they did with me as far as my talent to the NBA? How do I take this device and put it in the market? And that became my new passion of just figuring out how to do that. Having something that actually legitimately helps someone, that's a whole nother feeling by itself. But having something that helps someone and you don't know how to get it out there, that's a terrible feeling, right? So I did a lot of sort of hand to hand and figured out how to get into retail. We were in Relax the Back stores across the country. And one thing I found out about retail is I don't want to be in it. I don't want to be in the retail business, man. I
That's
don't want to.
it's because you developed, there's that, whether it's online or offline, people say, grit and putting up with the ups and downs in the world of entrepreneurship, learning how to sell, market, connect, that is kind of to put up with that and to stay strong mentally is one of the success traits to running a business long term. But you developed that growing up, right? Because I have a Filipino upbringing. I mean, I'm mixed background, but for me, it was my dad was the same. We were collecting cans. He saw me throwing away a Coke can. I'd get
No, give
crap
me that.
for it. And it was like,
Hey, we're
we,
gonna
we
put some
walked down
sand.
the
We're gonna put some
street.
sand in that can.
His
We're gonna put some weight in that can.
his Pinto broke down, and it was like, the routine was to rinse the Coke can with water. So we kind of had that mentality, but you developed that at a young age. So it was putting up with the ups and downs of growing up that way and kind of taking care of yourself and trying to learn other ways to make money or support yourself, and then transitioning to the NBA, then transitioning out. So in a way, you kind of had that almost mental kind of physical foundation, right, for putting up with the ups and downs and taking that, not necessarily defeat, but taking, temporary hits and the successes and kind of just having that strong mental foundation moving
Yeah,
forward, right?
yeah, it's the ebbs and flows, and you almost have to be insane to want to continue to take yourself through that. Like someone would look at you and say, "Man, why would you continue taking yourself through this type of punishment?" Right? Because in entrepreneurship, obviously there are ups, and then there are drop down, very low downs, and then there are ups, and there are more downs. There are more downs than ups, right? And to stick through it, I think as an athlete, I actually learned that from being an athlete as well. Running through a brick wall for a coach, and you're doing it over and over again without any monetary result for years, and having to endure that sort of helps as well when it comes down to entrepreneurship, because you have something and you don't have any guidance at the time and you're just trying to figure it out. And one thing that I've learned about this whole process is it really doesn't matter how hard you work. I don't think that's the key. The key is not quitting. And then the key is having someone there that has been to where you're trying to go that can, that can show you the shortcuts and, make sure you don't, you know, fall into or stumble into areas that are unnecessary. I think that's the big thing. Just like in the NBA, you can train all you want, but if you're training the wrong way and you don't have the proper skill, then you can work for years, but that's not going to do anything. So the hard work, I don't want to say it doesn't have anything to do with it because you do have to work hard, but you have to work hard at the right things. And it took me a while to kind of find those individuals that would show me the right way how to train in the direct response business, right? I mean, you can have a physical product and go hand to hand, or you can go to retail and rely on somebody to sell it for you, or rely on them to do the marketing to bring a person in the door to at some point look at your product. You're going through too many people, all the way down to understanding that you can, create copy and create landing pages and funnels and test, and get a good CPA and control your destiny from there, you know. So that's a huge brain twist right there of knowing the two, right? Because some people are only stuck on retail. And then for me, going from retail to understanding that there are digital products that you can literally create today and sell tomorrow, right? And having the skill set to do that, it's different. It's a whole different game when it comes down to entrepreneurship.
So what was your transition like? Like I guess kind of the ups and downs for, let's say there's because the thing is you were able to turn your, personal injury into a product that, helps people, helps athletes, helps people with injuries. So your transition too was kind of that it's not that common for people to enter the world into, especially of health or entrepreneurship, these types of products or these types of services that, there's the rare few that can make money from it as a passion, but there's that difference of, in this line, even online, that when it comes to sports performance and these kinds of things, that you actually had the personal experience of the target market, right?
Yeah,
Did you feel like that helped you make a connection with kind of your target audience or?
somewhat. Yeah, it did. But I thought my target market was going to be sports performance, but it wasn't, right? Because of my injury and in years of trying to figure out how to keep pain away from my knees, I discovered another skill of keeping pain from my knees. And that became a skill of helping other people, stay out of pain or get out of pain, especially those that don't have to be, and those that are just ignorant to what, you know, what it entails to keep pressure off the knee. I think a lot of people today are having surgery that's unneeded, right? Um, all of these, knee replacements and surgeries that are for bone-on-bone individuals that have never really engaged muscle properly or don't know how anything about soft tissue manipulation or, IT band manipulation or hamstring manipulation, all of this stuff that causes your knee to stay in pain when you don't have an internal injury that causes you to have surgery right away, right? I think I got the skill of being able to help people get out of that along with the device. That allowed me to create more of the digital stuff, which is more information, right? So getting into the 50 and older market, I saw that, I would get an immediate reaction from those individuals, especially when I dropped my devices off to trainers and things of that nature. They would be working with older people who would be coming to them post-knee surgery or looking to prevent knee surgery, and it will put them in my product. And the product would take pressure away immediately. Well, when people get older and they have their cartilage is worn down, and that those bones start scraping, they start getting pain when they stand up because of pressure. My device was taking that pressure away, which means it was removing the pain. So I was able to get an immediate result from them, and that's where I really got a lot of the response from. So the market was talking to me, so I moved from athletes and whatnot over to seniors, and that became my target market of who I spoke to and who spoke back.
So how, because it sounds like you've had a mix of, because you're also involved in NBA Foundation, you have your philanthropy, but how has your, I guess there's like the preference versus experience, right? Like offline versus online. Eh,
Yeah,
so, because it sounds like you're still, you know, you're, it sounds like you're still, playing different fields of, offline, online, or how is that? Like
yeah.
how,
So I'm not offline anymore. When I started off, it was a lot of offline because I had to do a lot of research for the device, and I was gathering a lot of data. I mean, it took years to gather information from all of these testimonials, all of these people, and learning that it not only my device not only helped for the knee, but it was helping for the lower back because of the posterior pelvic tilt. It was providing to take pressure off the lower lumbar, helping with preventing overcompensation, helping with weight loss, all of these things it was helping with. I had to learn from feedback and research, right? Now, because of that and because of the retail experience, and the reason I'll back up and kind of tell you the reason that I don't really care for retail is because, we went into relax the back stores. I actually sold a relax the back store. I walked in there and the manager had a sciatic nerve issue. And we put him in a device and it unloaded his, nerve or whatever, the pinching there, and made it feel a lot better. And he bought one for me right then and there. And then all of a sudden I was in relax the back stores. Well, the problem is they sell chairs for $2,000 and beds for like 5 grand. Everything's expensive. I have a device and there's a couple $100, right? So for a salesperson to make money in that position, if you walk in the store and you have a knee problem or a back problem, they're going to look to sell you a product that's $3,000 versus a product that's a couple of $100. Commission is going to be a lot more, right? So what is the incentive for you to demonstrate my product, right? There is none, okay? So for, even though we were moving units, it was not enough for me. It was more, support, and not enough return, right? So once I got into direct response and I was introduced to direct response from Wesley Virgin, obviously, he had a weight loss product that was doing big, crazy numbers. And, he kind of exposed me to it and how you lead with the book or lead with some information and then kind of, make the product the upsell and things of that nature and the different ways of how to get that done. Obviously, it took me a couple of years to get to a point where I can create a successful funnel that was actually converting. I had to learn how to write copy myself, obviously. And once I did that, the units flew because once you get a conversion rate on cold traffic or you get something converting on affiliate traffic, everybody's going to want to sell it. Affiliates are going to want to make money. If they have something that they're sending out that's converting, they're going to continue to send. And if you have something that you can get a CPA on cold traffic, um, like this device, I mean, we're getting like, $60, $70 CPAs on a, $200 product. You can just continue to spend, right? And that's what I did. I learned how to do it. I learned how to, manage my own Facebook ads and had to learn that from scratch and just kind of did a little bit of everything myself starting out. And that was a big eye opener of actually even experiencing what a CPA was on cold traffic. Affiliate traffic is cool, but cold traffic, that's more of controlling your own destiny. And then once you do that, okay, now what? How do you put support around that? And the upsells, how do you make the whole back end of the funnel work? When I first started, I didn't have a back end. I didn't have, we do coaching now, high ticket coaching that, you know, our best product is like $2,000 all the way up to 10 grand. We didn't have any of that when I first started. So understanding, how the whole game works. Um, that's why I say it goes back to having someone that's been there. I think that would be the biggest thing for anybody looking to get into this game.
I remember when I first started a long time ago, it was a foreign language for sure. Going, especially from, I can't imagine, putting up with the ups and downs of the retail world. But when I first started many years ago, I remember like CPA, AOV, all sorts of things. For me, it was almost a foreign language, but it's definitely putting it all together. There's that, I guess, that mix of, you know, especially going into business for yourself, but there's other people who, work as a team or as it's what medium do we go into also? Do we create an info product? Do we sell? Do we go, now that we're getting better online, do we go e-com? Do we create a partner? Who do we hire to write copy? Do we hire our own and chief them? But you actually took the reins of like, I'm going to do it all from the ground up. I'm going to learn how to create the funnel. I'm going to take my experience. I'm going to write the copy, and you
Yeah,
got it to convert, which is when I remember when I was first getting to know you, I thought that was really impressive because doing that from the ground up. And of course, ego stroking, like putting all the copy together from front to back, something to cold traffic, where people just say they see your ad and they click on it and it's all of a sudden, a good video sales letter, taking them through the whole journey. It's not easy to create the copy and strategy, but you took it down to create the product, the strategy. I know who we're going to talk to, and you're just like, screw it, I'm gonna write all the copy myself.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it took me better part of a year to get it to convert. Right. So I would sit here and write, 50 pages of copy or whatever it was, and you run it and literally in one day start over. You test it and you run some traffic to it, it doesn't work, start over. You start this whole thing over and do this over and over and over again. Specifically with my product, I wrote probably 4 different VSLs that didn't cut it. It was getting close, but it didn't cut it. And when I got to the point where I scratched everything and I just went, I just, pretty much went, I segmented everything out and I just pressed record and I just went off the top of my head. Right. That's when it converted. I don't know if it was just because it was more natural. I was just taking everything that I had and I was able to, come off a little bit more genuine. But that resonated very well and it still resonates very well with the market. So I was able to actually get to the point where I was converting between 2 and 5% on average with that product. And we still have that same VSL today.
Because I saw some of your copy, you created the pattern interrupt and all sorts of things. I know you're working with a coach, but like taking it to the next level, do you feel like now that you got the front end to convert, I guess in an ideal world, let's say you just had a team or something, someone who's just going to take 80% of the stuff that not necessarily you don't like to do, but 80% of the stuff that's almost distracting to you or that's holding you back or that is just stuff that you wish you can delegate. Let's say you were just like, hey, Jonathan, now it's time to do your 20%, scale the company, make new products or, nurture your list or, transition to, the front end into maybe you want to scale your high ticket coaching or something like that, or target like a really, really high end clientele. Let's say just like in an ideal world, 3, 5 years from now, if you had maybe someone managing a team for you, the copy, the funnels, the conversions, what would you do? Like what would you do if you had that 20%? Like I can go from Jonathan, the CEO, to even like now I could just hire a CEO and replace myself. Like
Yeah.
what would you see yourself doing?
So with me, I've always thought about building a company up to either go maybe IPO-ish in that area, but always being more of the creative guy that's creating new products. I'm able to do that quick because I understand. You got to understand. I have the problem, so I'm very creative, so I can create something that supports the issue, right? So being able to come up with things and put them out, right? That would be one thing, but also moving more into, um, helping other people who are looking to invent, not just invent, but invent and then be able to go and market themselves, right? With the whole direct response thing, coaching in that area is something I've always thought about. I would love to do and help individuals from that standpoint, as well as doing some events, joint pain events, you know, uh, replacement prevention events for seniors, stuff like that, right? Doing more of the group activities and doing one-on-one coaching from a big scale.
That's the beauty of direct response too, is in nature of it, it can be fairly simplistic. Making it happen definitely is not simplistic, but when you stick to direct response, it is, I'm going to take the info product, my first thing, it's a joint pain, into coaching, and then, monetize that, and then, automate it, and then build a clientele. And then it's like, man, now I built this company. And the beauty of direct response is now I can find people who want to take their info product from the ground up. And then I help them find out how to do it. And then now I show them how to write, and I show them how to do exactly what I did.
Right.
And the
It's
great
almost
part of that is like now if you get to that level, now you can pick and choose, if it's not, especially if it's not all about the money, some people will just pick and choose who I want to work with. Do you want to work with people who are only in pain? Do you want to work with people who had similar life experiences? Sometimes it's where do they want to go in 5 to 10 years, but it's also because you have that vision for yourself and you've been in that process of building it out, right?
Yeah, it's almost like the journey with basketball and the journey with my knee issues, right? That was a story nationwide, which helped form my copy. And I'm able to use all of those interviews from Bloomberg and Fox and ESPN, Sports Illustrated, all that stuff. I'm able to use that when creating my products and my landers and DSLs and all that stuff for my knee pain products, right? So moving forward, everything that I've gone through and everything I'm still going through now, obviously I'll be able to take all of this and all of this these new skills and all of this experience and move on forward into the coaching part as far as helping other people from work from the ground and be able to start something through direct response. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to get involved with that in the future.
I think that's almost the highest level where people want to,
Yeah,
if you want to stick with direct response, right? Because it's like, um, just me for a personal example, right? If I had my way, I would just, I've been special for the past few years specializing in alternative health, alternative health influencers is one of my strongest points. And I was like, if I had it, my way, I just go for high profile, other professional athletes who are in the business or people who have gone through that route who are now just like, now I just coach people how to do
yeah,
what I want to do. But that's kind of the ideal route, right? Where it's now it's thriving now. It's like I can target different clientele. Of course, like that's when you have that foundation, I think that's everyone's dream because it depends how much you want to earn. But if you have enough almost on a passive income business to cover more than your monthly expenses and your bills, then you have that flexibility to be like, I'm going to scale this business or maybe I'll dabble in other things. But do you see that light coming? Because you have other passions, right? I mean,
yeah, definitely. Like I said, number one, I'm always thinking about the other athletes that may be in similar thought process. So maybe working with the NBA at some point, and creating some sort of structure where that can be offered as sort of you know alternative to what they currently have to create another avenue. Because a lot of these guys have passions you never heard of, or they're involved in things surrounding around health. That would be my strong point. And they have uh, goals of creating things. They're not just athletes, so and they have the disposable income to do so, right? So, doing that as well as the health. I think I'm always being health, helping people with knee problems, just on a larger level, right? And then helping individuals that want to make money online or want to start in entrepreneurship, period. So, getting to the point where I can take my brand and not just be known for an athlete, but be known as this guy that can not only help individuals, start or create something from scratch, but not only create something, but take it to their actual customer, you know, and as well as the preventing knee problems as well. So.
So scaling back to like even people who might want to get involved as a consumer or who are interested in that same space, how's the high ticket, how's the coaching journey been for you? Because nowadays, there has been people who other professional, another guy from the NFL I helped on a consulting level took he was like he had a local clientele, but he took it was tough to translate it to online, but he made it work. But how's that journey been for you?
Surprisingly, I'm kicking myself because I wish I'd have did it a long time ago. Um, I just started last year with coaching. I just started in the last year. And it's amazing the way you don't think that people have money. If you drive around, you'll see enough, evidence that shows you people have money and they're willing to spend it if they feel like they can trust you and if you have a solution to their problem, right? So when I say, one of our most popular uh, ticket item is a $2,000 coaching program, right? And I don't do any of the work. I have some trainers, some joint pain coaches, specialists that do the job. But these are programs that we implement, lifestyle programs that we implement for individuals looking to prevent surgery and knee replacement. So it's been good. I mean, we have a high conversion rate. It's just continuing to keep the leads coming in and getting those, bookings to convert the way you want them to, and kind of building out from there. But it's been very good. Uh, it's been very good. I'm actually very, very surprised and excited about it. I should have started a long time ago. And
It's
the fact
the
that people spending 30 grand for these, obviously, I think money making online is probably the hottest
right.
ticket, right? I think you can really get up there 20, 30, $40,000 packages if you can show them how to turn that over. But for someone looking to prevent a knee replacement, which they're going to spend 30, 40 grand anyway, to
Yep.
spend 2 grand or even spend 10 to work with me is worth it. So
That's
yeah, it's been
ultimately what it is for sure. I mean, like of course, just taking a detour, it is true, right? In that thing, it's 10, 20, 30, 40. They are gonna spend that if they have to go down the route of surgery, replacements, and preventative measure. Then there is that route of like now you might have to miss work because you let it drag out, or now you're like in bed, and there's like the factors of depression and stress and all that. But that's going a little too far ahead. But I mean, there's a bunch of people who are still wanting to get into transferring their experience into coaching, but it's not that easy. But once you get to that level, it can be scalable, 10, 20, 30, sometimes a 3 month, 6 month program. Or do you want to could you create a good launch to your list that's I'm going to test a couple, a 997 program and let's see how many people we could sign up. Sometimes you get 10, 20 people who sign up for JVs and it's like, shoot, the past 3 months I created an explosive launch, but it's definitely that testing, which I think is all of our journeys, from me as kind of the supportive role in implementing the strategy and the copy and getting it to a point to help you automate and then coaching and supporting people like you to grow it. It is that evolution of staying on top of trends. But let's say just like where you are now, if you were to get to focus on just one thing, what would it be? I guess like in the I guess if it is either philanthropy or if it is coaching or if it is something else, like if you were just like right now, if you had someone who's like, I'm just going to take care of all of this stuff, what's the one thing you would ideally be focusing on?
For me, I think there's two things. Um, One would be, I think it's three things, right? That I'm just it's just natural. One would be sales, because I think with what I do, there has to be more of a personal connection when it comes down to the education part. When you're dealing with people with pain, they have to get out of pain. It's not an option, right? And if you can, make them understand that you know what you're talking about and you've been through it and that you can get it done in a not too pushy way, more of an education way, you can get them. So it's almost a reverse sale process, right? Um, I think that's one thing that I would have to kind of stick around and help with that as far as the training part, right? That's just natural. That's not even work. Right? The other thing would be the continuous development of products, right? That's natural for me. That I'm going to do that anyway. Okay. And the third thing would be on my nonprofit side, as far as continuing to help student athletes who may not make it to the next level, but those who may make it as well. You have to have. I think it's important to have something that can ride shotgun with you, some sort of business or idea that you can work on along um, with your athletic product, which I call your athletic product, your skill, um, where you can trade for money, right? There's a lot of kids out here that can create good books and have stories and have skills and have talents and things of that nature. And they don't need to wait till they find out that they're not going to college or they're not getting that scholarship to start. They started right now in the ninth grade. And and if I can get some of those kids to making, 100, 200 bucks, 300 bucks, 400 bucks a week, doing something like that, that'll spark something else in them. And, that's very important to me. So I would do that as well.
The way my brain thinks is kind of it's like if you look from a direct response standpoint, that is all in the umbrella of your expertise and your passions almost wrapped into one, right? Because if you were to continue inspiring, I the from the charity foundation kids to grow in, from the inner city to grow into that level, ultimately it's how I kind of want to be like Jonathan, right? If I have these physical, sometimes, people have mental or emotional challenges, and then they turn that into kind of, a group coaching thing, high ticket coaching. But then there is that. And then going
Most,
off on a side
most of
tangent.
them most of them don't even know it exists, though.
Yeah, the
That's
possibilities are like it is.
that's
It's a whole new world to open up to. Or someone has to kind of open it up,
right.
show you the way. And then there's also like we have the personal barriers of, there's like a self-esteem route
Mhm.
of can I do this? I'm not as smart or I'm not as good on camera or whatever, or like, you know, I'm not good on or writing's my weak point. But then there is that possibility barrier. And then there's like the personal things that hold us back. I think we all have that in one way, if it's to that level, if it's Jonathan, now you got a good sales pitch. Now we're gonna replicate you, right? We're gonna create a sick funnel with like a talking head that's you giving your sales pitch on a sales page or, in front of camera. And then there's at this level, you probably don't have the personal barriers. It's probably just strategy. But there are people who, like you said, if you're coaching them from, especially when they're a lot younger, there's that barrier. If I kind of want to be like Jonathan, but I don't think I can, I won't be. Then there's that, it is supporting them from that level of this is how you do it. But, now it's a matter of believing in yourself or being more humble.
Yeah. And then with a lot of these kids, especially in sports, um, they I think athletes in general just have a different gene. If you're sticking with athletes, there's something about you. If you can get fussed at and cursed out and fail over and over again, and you keep going to practice over and over and over and over again, you're doing the entrepreneurial job, which is fail, get up, fail, get up, fail, get up, right? So you have the spirit to get it done. Now, for a lot of the athletes that I speak to in the course that I have a whole course where these kids go through. And at one point, once they have, their idea or their product or service or whatnot, then Let them loose into the neighborhoods. We need you to go knock on 100 doors, right? And let's get your pitch down, right? And when you knock on 100 doors, how many people answered? Okay. How many people said, took your card? How many people, said they would order one of your, got on your pre-order form, right? Now let's start increasing that number. The next week you knocked on maybe 50 doors. Can we increase that number? It's getting a better conversion rate. Now, when you have it, in a comfortable range, now let's see if you can create and put that online, right? Because I'm just doing exactly what I did. That's what I did. Person to person first, then groups, got a good conversion rate from the message that I was portraying. Then I try to put it down in writing, right, as far as creating my VSL. And I ended up having to do it just naturally, right? It still had to be organized the way a VSL is organized, but I was just able to do it more naturally. And that became successful. So, yeah, I think that started with that because I think we lose a lot of that door to door, that person to person sort of.
Yep.
Get in front of one individual and go, let's see if you can sell it, right? And if you don't, I think that step is skipped. And that's why I think, a lot of people who try to, go to VSL route and create some good copy, it takes them a while to get the numbers up on it because it hasn't been tested in the real world. Right?
That's exactly what it is. It is that grit. And it's funny, just the flip side, just for people who, it's people who are seasoned entrepreneurs. Sometimes it's like, I want to get good at mixed martial arts. You're like, I'm too old to get into sports, but it's that saying, well, if you can take 50 no's from a sale, you can go in the ring, or like, you could take an MMA class and then have someone, if you're that, you can spar against someone who you feel is better than you, but it's also that flip side of
Right.
the mentality. But I guess for let's say, I guess kind of the last thing I wanted to cover was what are kind of the structural challenges you've been facing because you've been tackling it, the program, the VSL, the coaching, the building up the program. What are like some, from a marketing perspective, what are some of the structural challenges you've kind of been facing? You're focusing too much on something, or, you want to build the coaching program, but you're tied up in the copy.
I would say, my job now is I'm building more of a team so I can take my hands off of a lot of stuff. I haven't been writing a lot of copy lately, more of email stuff, um, because I mean we haven't really stepped out to do any split tests in a while. We're waiting to get product back in right now for our physical product. Um, I would say I would say pain point, something that kind of makes me cringe is more of the email setups, because there can be so many inside the business from a simple lead gen and the autoresponder to your mail outs, mailing to your simple lead opt-in leads to the sales leads, making sure that those lists are monetizing properly and that you're not oversaturating them with just a bunch of spam, and just making sure all of those processes are set and that they're converting, uh, you know, at the best rate that they can, at the highest potential that they can, and continue testing and continue building. That's been sort of a weak point for me, So I think that whole part right there kind of stresses me a little bit.
That's the funny thing, though. It's like when you go to six figures to seven, seven to eight, some companies aspire, supplement companies, some will go to nine figures, but it's like a whole new set of problems. Not necessarily, sometimes it's high quality problems. Now we got everything to automate. Now it's like, oh shoot, now we have all these customers that we need to manage. So now it's like a
That's
higher
a big
set. And then now it's like, now I'm the CEO, everyone loves me. Now I'm just going to create deals. I'm just going to get our name out. Then now it's like, I need someone to replace me. But
problem.
that's the exciting part. Like you said with sports too, now it's like, you get to the higher level too. You're playing a tougher team or you're going into a more advanced league, or you want to take your skills to the next level, there's always going to be that sort of challenge, which I think personally is a transition. Before it was, it was that akin to door to door. If you dabble in sports, at least you could understand that. Now it's how do you take that into the online marketing world? And sometimes it is, oh man, it didn't convert. I got to rewrite this. And then sometimes it is that, okay, if you want to get to the next level, you're going to stick with it. Of course, it is that strategy, but
grit, man, continuous grit to get it done. And for people, what I like to say is, you get into anything, you got to give yourself a decade. Just is what it is. You got to have reps, right? So if it doesn't happen the first year, second year, you got to give it 10 years, man. It just is what it is. A rabbit hole with this is super deep too. I mean, once you feel like you've succeeded in one area, then you find out there's 10 more areas. There's 10 more levels, right? As well. So it's been interesting. I love a challenge. So it's definitely a nonstop, array of challenges, and continuing to find mentors that are on the level that you're trying to get to. So I'm always seeking out new mentors and things of that nature as well.
sounds like you got, you're culminating your passions into the business world, and you're almost there where it's almost that level of, if you get to that level of almost needing to hire yourself out, now it's taking your passions into the level of philanthropy or building a new business or coaching other business owners to kind of integrate all their experience.
My overall goal is to monetize my life. Every movement I make, it makes money. Even though I'm helping, or, if I'm helping over here, I'm helping, but everything that I'm doing, it's bringing something back to me as well. And it's helping build, right? So I can help others, right? So that's my ultimate goal.
So it's been, there's probably things we can talk about for probably days. There's just so much, a culmination of having your hands in so many different things. But if someone wants to get in touch with you, whether it's if they need a pain coach or a speaker or a partner, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
My Instagram is Jonathan Bender 9, and it's JONATHAN BENDER 9, or our website is Solo Prehab, and it's SOLO and then Prehab PREHAB.com.
Cool. I'm gonna drop the info to that in the podcast description. But thanks, Jonathan. I'm sure there's so many people who can relate to your struggles, and there's people who probably have overcome them or at the next level. But like, we were saying, there's always going to be another level. You get to 9 figures, now build another 9-figure business or whatever it is,
Stop.
All right. Thanks, Jonathan.
All right, thanks. Thanks for having me, John.
Thanks again for joining us. We enjoyed having you sit there right next to us in your virtual seat, and I hope the feeling was mutual. Don't forget to rate, share, and subscribe to the Authority Marketing Podcast. And if you'd like, check out some other episodes we've got. Stay tuned for our next one.